Sam from Flatpack Festival. I'm the programmer.
I got into events by accident, really. I volunteered at a film festival after I left university and got a taste for it. I thought I was going to make TV programmes, and I got the events bug and been doing it ever since.
I was involved in a society at university where we put on film screenings, and I was doing that, and I was doing this film studies degree, and I had no idea really what I was going to do when I kind of finished it. And then when I did finish it and I came back to Birmingham, which was where I was from, Ian had actually set up Flatpack, and there'd been 2 festivals previously, and I went to one of the screenings which Ian was putting on, and that was it. It was like, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do, and so yeah, I'm incredibly appreciative for Ian doing that. What drew me to it was, before Flatpack started, Ian was putting on these nights in pubs, 7-inch cinema, and he was still doing that while Flatpack had started. And it was one of these screenings I went to, and it was in a pub in King's Heath in Birmingham. And I went to it, and having studied like Hollywood blockbusters at university, and you know, not been thrilled by it in any way at all, and then to come and see some stuff, and he showed this music video by Chad Van Galen, and I watched it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, this is brilliant. And that was followed by a Les Blanc documentary about a blues singer, and I was like, this is incredible. And I love the eclectic nature of it all, and these short films, and I just totally knew that if this was a pathway I could kind of make a career, then yeah, it was definitely for me.
It's like little steps every year, really. It's always grown quite organically, which is one of the good things about it. But I guess on a crude level, paying ourselves a regular wage, that was a big step. That didn't happen until about halfway through. It had always been quite ad hoc. So feeling like you could get a regular income out of it, that makes a big difference. Getting a production team in rather than lots of freelancers. Yeah, it's funny, it's lots of little things really that have just accumulated over the years. You kind of look back to the early festivals and to where it is now. It's quite hard to work out
where it changed.
How it changed. Yeah, it's not one particular moment necessarily, but at its heart, it's very similar to what it was when it began. Really, I think it's got a very similar spirit. It's just we're just doing it on a larger scale. Yeah, and the challenge is to try and keep the same intimacy and attention to detail and sense of fun and all of that kind of thing when you're doing 120 events over 11 days rather than just 30 or so, or just a night in a pub. You know, whatever scale you're doing it on, it's the same thing really. You're trying to create a really unique experience for the audience. We try and keep it changing, so I don't know if we'd bring back someone every single year, but we have lots of people whose work we really like, who we will often feature, people that will come back with films. Sam showed a film tonight by David O'Reilly. He's been a kind of recurring feature of the festival in the past, and he's still doing really fantastic stuff.
And you get to a point where there's like filmmakers whose work who you've shown the past couple of years and you think is brilliant, like Miro Mizui, whose film we showed tonight, Poker.
Yeah.
And it's so good, it's like, oh God, it's difficult not to show it. And he is prolific as well. He bangs these out. Whereas you know, most animators, it's 2 or 3 years before they come up with something new.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult, and part of you feels like, oh, we shouldn't be, we don't want to repeat ourselves, we don't want to be showing the same thing all the time. But at the same time, if it's good enough, then you've got to show it.
We still love sitting in the dark and watching a film properly,
Yeah.
the kind of traditional cinema experience, but yeah, we like the sort of fluidity of it and the versatility of it, showing it in different ways. And I think it's part of the aim is to try and connect with as many different audiences as possible, for it not just to be one. You know, a lot of people feel like film festivals are for the industry or film buffs or whatever, so it's trying to come up with a film festival that lots of people can feel ownership of and that reflects the way we watch films today, which is very Catholic and you know, it's like it's not limited to one particular format. So yeah, the using different venues and mixing with different art forms is definitely partly what makes Flatpack special.
And what's great as well is we collaborate with a lot of Birmingham organisations, other festivals, so music festivals like Supersonic, theatre festivals like B. There's lots of like other organisations in Birmingham who are doing really exciting things in their art form, and there's always a way we can kind of collaborate in some way, and whether it's through a walking tour. So if we work with a guy called Ben Waddington, who's a historian in Birmingham, who runs his own still walking festival, and so we do walking tours during our festival, or if it's looking at illustration and graphics, and we're working with an organisation called Glug, who illustration and graphics. There's always an avenue we can kind of look to collaborate with people, and that's really exciting.
The biggest challenge with this year's festival, it's like the usual boring challenges really. It's managing lots of different partnerships, making sure there's enough money to pay everyone. It actually gets easier each year. There's been far more challenges in the past. I think it feels like it's on quite a stable footing at the moment. The other big thing is to keep it fresh, to keep doing something different, because there's lots of stuff. You know, you're constantly thinking, how do we top the previous year's festival? How do we do something different? But at the same time, you don't want to completely reinvent the wheel every time you do a festival, because otherwise you go nuts. You need a certain amount of systems and routine. So there's a really good core team for Flatpack that makes everything happen. But at the same time, we like to make life difficult for ourselves by adding new venues or different kinds of different formats. So it's trying to keep a balance between the two, really. We've got some interesting possibilities. Yes, we've got the Night Festival starting in a little less than a fortnight, so we're slightly preoccupied with that. But we've got half an eye on number 10, which obviously has to be the Uber Flatpack, and yeah, I think it's going to be special. Watch this space.
If I had to pick out one event, there's an event called Time and Motion, which is happening in the middle of the festival, and with the festival being over 11 days, there's concentration over 2 weekends, but actually I think this event midweek is pretty special, because We have a duo from Berlin, a Japanese duo called Usageningen, who are a couple who one of them creates the visuals through a contraption she's made. The other one creates the sounds through a contraption he's made. He's made like a drum kit which packs down into a box. And I think what they do is quite special. I mean, she has a live camera feed on what she does, and there's lots of plates of glass where she has liquids and materials, and she's doing stuff, and that's all projected onto the screen with a live camera feed, and he's doing his soundtrack to it. With that, there's Sculpture, who are a duo based in London. One of them does the sound, one of them does the visuals with vinyls and animation through live feeds with vinyls. There's also light painting going on with torches.
The one that happened last year as well?
It's similar, yeah. We had a Japanese duo come over and do some light painting last year. This year it's a guy who's more local called Sola, S-O-L-A, and he's done some really impressive stuff. Jim Lefebvre is doing some stuff. We've got some scanimations with OHP projectors where people get 6 photos of their faces taken, and then they kind of get projected onto OHPs, and it looks as though their faces are moving. There's these shadow screens which are really psychedelic, which incorporate CCTV cameras where you walk into them and these shadows are projected in amazing colours. So this event is very difficult to get across in words. Yeah. It's very, very visual, and so that's happening midweek. It's called Time and Motion at Millennium Point in the Atrium area, and I think that's going to be really special.
And it's only a 5. Core team, there's about, we all went for a meal the other night, so there's about 14 of us now, covering guests, marketing, logistics, production, so year round there's just really 3 of us working year round, but obviously as it cranks up to busy time we had a lot of freelancers and additional team members, and then the volunteers, there's 80 this year apparently.
Yeah. So
in total well over 100 people are involved in putting the whole thing on. The sky's the limit really. We didn't expect to be still here 9 years on, and
but do you expect to be here 9 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't have a while ago, but I think once you get, I've heard it said that once you get past 5 or 6 years for a festival, it gets a lot easier, yeah. And I think it's true. It's never easy, but you get into a bit of a rhythm, and people expect to see you there. It gets lodged in people's mental calendars, and so I think it's just a question of keeping evolving and looking out for good stuff. There's always masses of interesting new work coming out, so there's no shortage of things to put on. There's no shortage of people who want to come see it, so why not?
And also there's no shortage of spaces to explore in Birmingham as well, because it's such a vast city, and we have our pockets of areas that we do use each year, and they're amazing, and there are nooks and crannies which we still want to explore there, but there's also plenty of other places in the city as well.
Pretty much all the questions I have. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks.